Imaging finding a rare coin so rare it could pay off your house today, we're diving into 10 of the most valuable U.S. coins ever found. Real coins worth hundreds and even millions of dollars or more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next rare find. Let's start this.
The 1979 mint mark Lincoln Cent penny is a coin that many people have held in their hands without ever realizing the hidden story it may carry. At first glance, it looks like just another ordinary penny. Copper-colored, small, and humble, it often gets tossed into jars, left in car cup holders, or forgotten at the bottom of drawers. But what if I told you that one of these seemingly common coins could be worth far more than its simple face value? Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1979 Lincoln Cent, exploring its history, its design, the minting process, rare errors, and what makes certain examples so incredibly valuable. Let's begin with the basics. The Lincoln Cent has been a part of American history since 1909, when it was first introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first regular United States coin to feature a real historical figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin displays a dignified portrait of President Lincoln facing right. Above his head, you'll find the word Liberty, and to the right, the date. On coins struck in Denver, a small D mint mark appears just below the date. The reverse of the 1979 penny still features the classic wheat-free design that had been in place since 1959. Instead of wheat ears, it shows the Lincoln Memorial. If you look very closely, you can even see a tiny representation of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, making this coin one of the few in the world to depict the same person on both sides. In 1979, the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies to meet the demands of a growing economy. The Denver Mint alone struck an enormous quantity of Lincoln cents that year. Because so many were made, most 1979 pennies you find today are extremely common in circulated condition. They were used daily for transactions, passed from hand to hand, and subjected to wear and tear. However, the story becomes much more interesting when we shift our focus from ordinary circulated coins to exceptional examples. The true value of any coin depends on several critical factors. Condition is one of the most important. Coins that were never released into circulation and remain in pristine, uncirculated condition are far more desirable to collectors. These coins often display sharp details, strong luster, and minimal marks. Grading plays a major role in determining a coin's worth. Professional grading services examine coins under magnification and assign them a grade based on their condition. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin can become. For modern coins, like the 1979 penny, achieving an extremely high mint state grade is surprisingly difficult. Even tiny imperfections can lower the grade significantly. Another factor that can dramatically increase value is the presence of mint errors. During the minting process, mistakes sometimes occur. These errors can include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, die cracks, and other striking anomalies. Error coins are fascinating because they represent a moment when something went wrong during production, making each one unique. Double die errors are particularly popular among collectors. This happens when the coin's design is accidentally impressed more than once in slightly different positions during the die creation process. The result can be noticeable doubling in the lettering or date. When collectors discover strong doubling on a coin, excitement builds quickly. There are also transitional errors and planchet variations that can spark intense interest. Although the late 1970s were not a major transitional period like the early 1980s, when composition changes occurred, collectors still carefully examine 1979 pennies for unusual characteristics. Subtle differences in strike quality, luster, and surface preservation can make one coin stand out dramatically from millions of others. Now let's talk about preservation. Many collectors store high-quality coins in protective holders immediately after acquiring them. This prevents exposure to air, moisture, and physical damage. A coin that has been carefully preserved since the day it was struck can look almost as fresh as it did when it left the mint. Brilliant red examples, often referred to as full red coins, are especially desirable because copper naturally darkens over time. Maintaining that original fiery red color for decades is no small feat. Demand also drives value. The Lincoln Cent series is one of the most widely collected coin series in the United States. Because it is affordable to begin collecting, many people start their numismatic journey with pennies. As collectors attempt to assemble complete date and mint mark sets in the highest possible grades, competition for superb examples increases. When multiple collectors compete for a top-graded coin, the final price can soar far beyond what most people would expect for a simple penny. Auction records reveal the true power of collector demand. When a coin is certified at an elite grade and verified by a respected grading service, it becomes a trophy piece. Wealthy collectors seeking the finest known examples are willing to pay extraordinary amounts to secure a coin that ranks at the very top of the population reports. It's important to understand that not every 1979 penny is valuable. In fact, the vast majority are still worth only their face value. But the thrill lies in the possibility. Somewhere out there, hidden in an old collection, tucked away in a roll of coins, or resting inside a forgotten bank box, there could be an exceptional specimen waiting to be discovered. If you are interested in searching for one yourself, start by examining your coins carefully. Look for strong, sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard. Check the fields for minimal contact marks. Tilt the coin under light to observe its luster. Pay attention to the mint mark and lettering for any unusual doubling or anomalies. Even small differences can make a big impact. Using a magnifying glass or coin loupe can help you spot details that are invisible to the naked eye. Handle coins by their edges to avoid leaving fingerprints, and consider placing promising finds in protective holders. If you believe you have discovered something truly special, submitting it to a professional grading service could be a wise next step. The world of coin collecting is filled with stories of incredible discoveries. Ordinary people have found rare coins in pocket change, inherited collections, and even rolls purchased from banks. The excitement of the hunt is part of what makes numismatics so captivating. Every coin carries history, artistry, and the possibility of hidden value. The 1979 Lincoln Cent may not be considered rare in terms of mintage numbers, but rarity in condition is a different story. When a coin survives in nearly flawless condition for decades, it becomes a survivor against the odds. Combine that with strong collector demand and competitive auctions, and you have the perfect recipe for a headline-grabbing sale. Imagine holding a penny in your hand and realizing it represents more than spare change. It represents craftsmanship from the United States Mint, a snapshot of American history, and potentially a life-changing discovery. That small copper coin could transform from something overlooked into a prized centerpiece of a major collection. Stories like these remind us why coin collecting continues to thrive generation after generation. It blends history, art, economics, and the thrill of treasure hunting into one fascinating hobby. Whether you are a seasoned numismatist or someone just beginning to check their pocket change, the 1979 Lincoln Cent is a reminder that even the smallest denomination can hold enormous potential. We're diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in modern American history, the 1969 mint mark Lincoln Cent penny. At first glance, it looks like any ordinary copper coin you might find in a jar or tucked away in a drawer. But under the right conditions, with the right characteristics, this tiny piece of metal can hold astonishing value. Let's uncover the story behind it. The Lincoln Cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By 1969, the design had already become one of the most recognized coin images in the world. Lincoln's calm profile on the front. The words "In God We Trust" above. Liberty to the side. The date stamped clearly beneath. On the reverse, you would see the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. Between the columns of the memorial, if you look closely, you can even see a tiny engraved Lincoln statue. That level of detail on a small set coin is incredible. Now let's talk about that little letter that changes everything. The D mint mark. In 1969, pennies were struck at multiple U.S. mint facilities. The D mint mark stands for Denver. Located in Colorado, the Denver Mint has produced billions of coins over the decades. In 1969 alone, the Denver Mint struck over 4 billion Lincoln cents. That means the 1969 D penny is, at its core, a common coin. So how can something made in the billions ever be valuable? The answer lies in condition, rarity within condition, minting errors, and collector demand. First, let's discuss metal composition. The 1969 D Lincoln Cent was made primarily of copper, about 95% copper and 5% zinc. These pre-1982 copper cents are heavier than modern pennies, weighing about 3.11 grams. Many collectors prefer these older copper cents because of their classic feel and rich color. Color is extremely important when determining value. Collectors classify copper coins into three main color categories: brown, red-brown, and red. Brown coins have darkened over time due to oxidation. Red-brown coins show a mix of original mint red and darker toning. Full red coins retain their bright, original copper shine. A 1969 D penny in circulated brown condition might only be worth a few cents above face value. But when you move into uncirculated territory, especially with full red luster, the value begins to climb. Now imagine finding one in mint state condition. Mint state coins are graded on a scale from 60 to 70. The closer to 70, the closer the coin is to perfection. No wear. Strong strike. Sharp details. Vibrant luster. Minimal marks. A 1969 D Lincoln Cent graded MS65 red can command a strong premium. Move up to MS66 or MS67 red, and you're entering serious collector territory. High-grade examples become scarce because most coins from 1969 were heavily circulated. Very few survived untouched in perfect condition for decades. But that's not where the real excitement begins. The world of coin collecting becomes even more thrilling when we talk about errors. Mint errors are accidental variations that occur during the coin production process. These errors can dramatically increase value. For 1969 pennies, one of the most famous and valuable varieties is the double die. Although the most famous double die that year came from the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark, collectors still examine every 1969 D penny carefully. Double die errors show noticeable doubling on letters and numbers, especially in words like liberty or in God we trust. When genuine and authenticated, these coins can be worth thousands of dollars. There are also repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and other fascinating minting anomalies that can transform an ordinary penny into a prize collectible. Condition and eye appeal matter enormously. Strong strike detail on Lincoln's hair, sharp lines on the memorial columns, minimal contact marks, brilliant original luster. When all of these qualities combine, collectors compete fiercely. Another factor driving value is population reports. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC track how many coins have been graded at each level. When only a tiny number exists at the highest grades, demand skyrockets. Serious collectors building registry sets want the absolute finest known examples. They are willing to pay significant premiums to secure the best. Imagine holding a coin that millions of people once carried in their pockets. It bought candy, newspapers, maybe even helped pay for a gallon of gas. It passed from hand to hand during one of the most historic years in American history. And today, preserved perfectly, it becomes a time capsule of that era. That's the magic of numismatics. The 1969 D penny also represents the end of a simpler monetary period. The late 1960s were marked by rising inflation and changes in U.S. coinage. Silver had already been removed from dimes and quarters a few years earlier. The copper cent still held its traditional composition, but within little more than a decade, that too would change to a copper-plated zinc core. Collectors often seek these earlier copper issues as tangible reminders of pre-1980s American coinage. Now let's talk about how to identify if your 1969 D penny might be special. Start with a magnifying glass. Look closely at the date and mint mark. Check for doubling. Examine Lincoln's cheek and jaw for wear. Tilt the coin under light to see if original red luster remains. Weigh the coin if possible to confirm proper metal composition. A digital scale that measures to the hundredth of a gram can help. If you believe you have a high-grade example or a possible error, professional grading is essential. Authentication protects you from counterfeit concerns and gives buyers confidence. Once encapsulated in a grading holder, the coin becomes easier to sell at auction or through dealers. Auction results have shown that exceptional 1969 D Lincoln cents in top condition can bring surprising prices. While most examples are modestly valued, the finest known pieces create headlines. Collectors love the combination of historical year, copper composition, and condition rarity. It's fascinating to think that a coin originally worth 1 cent could evolve into something far more significant. That transformation doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, preservation, scarcity, and collector passion. The story of the 1969 D Lincoln cent is really a story about attention. Most people overlook pennies. They toss them into jars. They ignore them in change. Yet hidden among billions could be a coin with remarkable worth. So next time you come across a handful of old copper pennies, don't dismiss them. Look carefully. That tiny D under the date might just be the beginning of an exciting discovery. Coin collecting isn't just about money. It's about history you can hold. It's about art in miniature form. It's about the thrill of the hunt. And sometimes, it's about uncovering value where others see none. Because while millions of 1969 D pennies remain common, the rare high-grade survivor stands apart. Perfectly struck. Fully red. Preserved for over half a century. A small disc of copper that connects us directly to 1969, the year of moon landings, cultural revolutions, and American change. We are diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in American pocket change history, the United States of America 1970 D mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny. At first glance, it may look like just another copper coin tossed into jars, drawers, and forgotten piggy banks. But hidden within its tiny surface could be a story of history, rarity, and surprising value. The year 1970 was a time of transformation in America. The nation was in the middle of cultural shifts, technological advancements, and economic changes. The San Francisco and Denver mints were busy producing millions upon millions of pennies to keep up with commerce. Among them was the 1970 penny bearing the small but important D mint mark representing the Denver Mint. That tiny letter under the date is more than just a stamp. It is a mark of origin, identity, and in some cases, serious collector interest. The Lincoln cent itself carries a legacy dating back to 1909, when it was first introduced to honor President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features Lincoln's dignified profile, while the reverse of the 1970 penny displays the classic wheat-free design introduced in 1959, the Lincoln Memorial. That reverse design was created by Frank Gasparo and remained until 2008. By 1970, the Lincoln Memorial cent had become a familiar symbol in American hands. Most 1970 D pennies are common. The Denver Mint produced over 2 billion of them. Yes, billions. That staggering number means that in average circulated condition, these coins are generally worth just 1 cent. Even in uncirculated condition, many examples sell for only a few dollars. So what makes this coin so exciting? The answer lies in details. Tiny details that most people overlook. In coin collecting, small differences can mean massive changes in value. One of the most talked about varieties connected to the 1970 Lincoln Cent series is the double die variety. While the famous double die is more commonly associated with the 1970s small date variety, collectors also carefully examine 1970 pennies for strong strike quality, minting anomalies, and exceptional preservation. Condition is everything. A coin that has been worn down in circulation will naturally carry less value than one that looks as though it just left the mint. Collectors use a grading scale ranging from poor to mint state 70. The closer a coin is to mint state 70, the more flawless it appears under magnification. Sharp details in Lincoln's hair, clear lettering "In God We Trust," and crisp lines on the Lincoln Memorial columns all play a major role in determining grade. Now imagine finding a 1970 penny that has been preserved in pristine condition for over 5 decades. Its copper surface gleams with original mint luster. There are no scratches, no dull spots, no discoloration. The coin appears nearly perfect. In the competitive world of high-end coin auctions, such examples can command impressive premiums. Collectors are willing to pay for perfection, especially when population reports show that only a handful exist in the highest grades. Beyond condition, there is the possibility of mint errors. Mint errors are accidental variations that occur during the coin production process. These can include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, repunched mint marks, and dramatic doubling. Error coins are unique because they were never intended to look that way. Each one tells a story of mechanical mishap frozen in metal. The Denver Mint in 1970 was operating at full speed. High production levels sometimes increase the chance of minor imperfections. Most errors are subtle and add only modest value. However, when a significant error appears on a coin in outstanding condition, collectors take notice immediately. Rarity combined with eye appeal can transform an ordinary cent into a treasure. Copper composition is another factor to consider. The 1970 penny was struck in 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was before the composition change in 1982, when rising copper prices forced the mint to switch primarily to zinc cores. Because of its high copper content, the 1970 penny has intrinsic metal value beyond 1 cent, although that alone does not make it rare. What truly elevates value is demand among collectors. Let's talk about demand. Coin collecting is one of the oldest hobbies in the United States. From young beginners filling Blue Whitman folders to advanced numismatists building registry sets, the Lincoln Cent remains a favorite. Registry set collectors, in particular, compete to own the finest graded examples certified by professional grading services. When two determined collectors want the same top population coin, bidding wars can happen. Auction records reveal that ordinary circulated 1970 pennies are worth face value. Bright red uncirculated examples graded MS65 might sell for a modest premium. Higher grades, like MS66 or MS67, can reach significantly higher prices, especially if the coin exhibits strong luster and minimal contact marks. But the true excitement happens at the absolute top of the grading scale. Picture a coin graded at the pinnacle, a nearly flawless specimen recognized as one of the finest known. The surfaces shimmer with blazing red brilliance. The strike is razor sharp. Even under magnification, imperfections are almost non-existent. Population reports show that only 1 or 2 coins have achieved this elite status. In such cases, collectors understand they may not get another opportunity for years. When such a coin crosses the auction block, anticipation builds. Bidders from around the country, sometimes around the world. Watch closely. The auctioneer opens the bidding. The numbers rise steadily. Each increment represents confidence in the coin's rarity and condition. Finally, the hammer falls. The humble penny, once worth a single cent in everyday commerce, transforms into a headline-making collectible. Stories like these fuel the excitement of searching through pocket change. While the odds of finding a top-graded example in circulation today are slim, the possibility keeps collectors engaged. Every jar of old coins becomes a treasure hunt. Every inherited coin collection becomes a mystery waiting to be explored. If you are interested in checking your own 1970 D penny, start with careful observation. Look beneath the date for the small D mint mark. Examine the coin under good lighting. Check for strong details in Lincoln's portrait and the Lincoln Memorial. Look for unusual doubling in the lettering or numbers. If the coin appears unusually sharp or flawless, consider having it evaluated by a reputable grading service. It is important to remember that not every 1970 D penny is valuable. In fact, the vast majority are common. Education is key. Understanding grading standards, mint errors, and market demand will help you separate ordinary coins from potentially valuable ones. Patience and research are essential tools in numismatics. The beauty of coin collecting lies in its accessibility. Anyone can start. You do not need expensive equipment to begin examining your change. A simple magnifying glass and a basic understanding of what to look for can open the door to discovery. And sometimes, history rewards those who pay attention to details others ignore. The 1970 D Lincoln Cent penny represents more than copper and design. It represents a moment in American minting history. It reflects the craftsmanship of the Denver Mint and the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln on U.S. coinage. For most people, it will always remain a simple penny. But for collectors who seek the finest known examples, it can become something extraordinary. But what if I told you that one ordinary-looking coin from 1976, the United States of America Lincoln Cent penny with no mint mark, has captured the attention of collectors across the country and turned into a small treasure? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story behind the 1976 no mint mark Lincoln penny, why it was made, what makes certain examples special, and how a coin that once bought almost nothing could now be worth serious money. Let's go back to 1976. America was celebrating its bicentennial, 200 years of independence. While special designs were created for quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins that year, the Lincoln Cent kept its classic look. On the front, you see the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909. On the back, the Lincoln Memorial stands proudly, a design that had been used since 1959. Now here's where things get interesting. Many 1976 pennies were struck at different U.S. mint facilities. Coins made in Philadelphia during that time typically had no mint mark. Coins from Denver carried a small D. So when you see a 1976 penny without a mint mark, it usually means it was produced in Philadelphia. But just being from Philadelphia doesn't automatically make it rare. In fact, millions upon millions of 1976 no mint mark pennies were produced. Most of them are only worth face value today. So why are collectors paying attention? The answer lies in condition and rare minting errors. First, condition is everything in coin collecting. A 1976 penny that has been circulating for decades, scratched and worn, won't attract much value. But if you find one in brilliant uncirculated condition, meaning it was never used in everyday transactions and still has its original shine, the value can increase dramatically. Collectors look for coins with strong details in Lincoln's hair, sharp lettering, and a clean, vibrant surface with no major marks. High-grade examples that have been professionally graded and preserved can sell for far more than 1 cent. Now let's talk about errors, because this is where excitement truly builds. Some 1976 no-mint mark pennies were struck with noticeable mint errors. These include double die errors, off-center strikes, or other production mistakes. A double die error occurs when the coin's design is stamped twice slightly out of alignment, creating a visible doubling effect on the lettering or numbers. These errors are highly sought after because they are rare and unique. When collectors discover a well-preserved 1976 no-mint mark penny with a dramatic error, the demand increases. The combination of rarity, condition, and error can transform a simple coin into a collector's prize. Another factor that adds intrigue is the metal composition. In 1976, pennies were primarily made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. Rising copper prices over the years have also made pre-1982 copper pennies more desirable compared to modern zinc cents. Imagine finding one of these coins tucked away in an old collection, forgotten for decades. It might look ordinary at first glance, but under proper lighting, magnification, and grading, it could reveal hidden qualities that make it stand out from the rest. This is why coin experts always say, check your change carefully. You never know what history might be sitting in your hand. Collectors across the United States continuously search for high-grade examples of classic coins, and the 1976 Lincoln penny remains a favorite because of its connection to America's bicentennial era. It represents a historic year, a time of celebration, pride, and reflection on 2 centuries of freedom. And while most 1976 no-mint mark pennies are common, the rarest and finest examples have surprised the collecting world. In fact, one exceptional specimen reached an astonishing value of $43,784. So, the next time you see a 1976 Lincoln Cent coin with no mint mark, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. Examine the details. Check the condition. Because sometimes history, rarity, and value come together in the smallest and most unexpected ways. Have you ever held a simple penny in your hand and wondered if it could secretly be worth a fortune? Most of us treat pennies like loose change. They get tossed into jars, left in cup holders, or forgotten in drawers. But what if I told you that one specific penny from 1978, struck at the Denver Mint, has captured the attention of collectors across the country and could be worth far more than 1 cent? Today we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1978 D-Mint mark Lincoln Cent penny. We'll explore its history, its design, what makes it valuable, rare errors to look for, grading factors, and why collectors are willing to pay serious money for the right example. And by the end of this video, you might be looking at your spare change in a completely different way. Let's start with the basics. The 1978 D Lincoln Cent was produced at the Denver Mint. The small letter D on the obverse of the coin, just below the date 1978, tells us it was struck in Denver. In 1978, the United States Mint was still producing Lincoln Cents made primarily of copper. These coins were composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, making them heavier and more solid than the zinc-based pennies that would come later in the 1980s. The obverse of the coin features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His profile has been a constant presence on the penny since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Above Lincoln's head, you'll see the word Liberty to the left, the date 1978 to the right, and the motto "I in God We Trust" along the top. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the reverse design that was used from 1959 to 2008. It features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. If you look closely, you can even see a tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial. Around the top edge are the words United States of America, and below the memorial are the words 1 cent. The motto E Pluribus Unum appears above the building. Now here's where things get interesting. The 1978 D Lincoln Cent had a massive mintage. The Denver Mint produced over 4 billion of these coins. That's billions with a B. With such a high mintage, you might think there's no way this coin could be valuable. And in most cases, you'd be right. In circulated condition, a typical 1970 AD penny is only worth face value. Maybe a few cents if it's in nice shape. But coin collecting isn't just about mintage numbers. It's about condition, rarity within condition, and sometimes errors that occur during the minting process. Let's talk about condition first. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from poor all the way up to mint state 70. Most 1970 AD pennies that you find in circulation are heavily worn. They've passed through countless hands, vending machines, cash registers, and pockets over the decades. However, finding a 1970 AD penny in pristine, uncirculated condition is a completely different story. Coins graded MS65, MS66, and especially MS67 are far more desirable. At these high grades, the coin shows no signs of wear, has strong luster, sharp details, and minimal contact marks. As you move into the top population grades, the number of surviving examples drops dramatically. While billions were made, only a tiny fraction have survived in near perfect condition. And that's where the value starts to climb. Now let's add another layer to the story: mint errors. Mint errors are accidental mistakes that occurred during the coin production process. These errors can make a common coin suddenly rare and extremely valuable. With the 1970 AD penny, collectors have discovered examples with doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and other unusual characteristics. One of the most exciting types of error is a dramatic doubled die, where parts of the design appear duplicated due to a misalignment during the die creation process. If you look closely at the lettering or the date and see clear doubling that isn't just machine doubling, you could be looking at something special. Off-center strikes are another eye-catching error. These happen when the blank planchet isn't properly aligned during striking, causing part of the design to be missing and the coin to have a crescent-shaped blank area. The more dramatic the off-center strike, while still showing the full date and mint mark, the more desirable it can be. There are also rare cases where coins are struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the metal disc was intended for a different denomination. These transitional or wrong planchet errors can bring significant premiums at auction. But beyond errors, the real excitement with the 1970 AD penny often comes down to top-grade examples certified by professional grading services. Professional coin grading companies like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins and assign them a numeric grade. When a coin is graded at the very top of the scale for its type and year, it becomes a condition rarity. Even though billions were made, only a handful may exist at that elite grade level. Collectors who compete in registry sets are especially interested in securing the finest known examples. A registry set is a competitive collection where collectors aim to assemble the highest graded coins for a particular series. When only a few coins are graded at the top level, competition can become fierce. This competitive demand can drive prices to astonishing levels. Imagine a 1970 AD Lincoln Cent graded at the absolute highest known grade, with blazing red luster, flawless surfaces, and incredible eye appeal. Such a coin stands out dramatically from the average penny. It represents the best of the best from that year in mint. When one of these top population coins comes to auction, serious collectors take notice. Bidding wars can erupt, pushing the final sale price far beyond what most people would ever imagine for a 1-cent coin. Now let's talk about how to identify a potentially valuable 1970 AD penny in your own collection. First, check the condition. Look for coins that appear uncirculated. They should have original mint luster, which looks like a cartwheel effect when you tilt the coin under light. The surfaces should be free from heavy scratches, dullness, or discoloration. Second, examine the details carefully. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the date, mint mark, and lettering. Look for any unusual doubling, misalignment, or striking anomalies. Third, Consider the color designation. Copper coins are often classified as red, red-brown, or brown. Full red coins with vibrant original color are typically more valuable than those that have toned or darkened over time. If you believe you have a high-grade or error example, the next step would be to submit it to a professional grading service. Authentication and grading not only confirm the coin's condition, but also make it more attractive to potential buyers. It's also important to understand that the coin market fluctuates. Values can rise and fall depending on demand, overall market trends, and the number of high-grade examples discovered. Just because one coin sold for a high price doesn't mean every similar coin will automatically reach that level. Rarity within grade and timing of the sale play huge roles. The story of the 1978 VDB Lincoln Cent is a perfect example of how even the most ordinary-looking coin can hold extraordinary potential. It reminds us that coin collecting is about more than just age. It's about preservation, detail, and sometimes a little bit of luck. Think about it. Billions of these coins were struck nearly 5 decades ago. Most have been worn down, lost, or damaged. But somewhere out there, a few survived in near-perfect condition. Maybe they were stored in rolls. Maybe they were carefully saved by a collector who recognized their potential. Those few coins have become modern treasures, and that's what makes this hobby so exciting. Treasure isn't always buried underground or locked in a vault. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, mixed in with everyday pocket change. So the next time you come across a 1978 penny with a small d under the date, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Check the shine. Examine the details. You might not find a fortune, but you'll gain a deeper appreciation for the craftsmanship and history behind even the smallest denomination in American currency. Because in the world of coin collecting, value isn't just about metal content or face value. It's about rarity, demand, condition, and the stories these coins carry through time. But every once in a while, an ordinary-looking coin turns out to be far more than spare change. Today, we're diving deep into one such coin, the United States of America 1997 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1 cent penny, and why collectors across the country are paying serious attention to its value and worth. The Lincoln penny is one of the most recognizable coins in American history. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse shows Lincoln's classic profile, along with the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year of issue. On the reverse of the 1997 penny, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was used from 1959 until 2008. Within the memorial, if you look closely, you can even see a tiny representation of Lincoln's statue seated inside. Now let's focus on the 1997 D Mint Mark penny specifically. The D Mint Mark indicates that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. In 1997, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. At first glance, that might make this coin seem extremely common. After all, how valuable could something be if so many were made? But here's where the story becomes interesting. In the world of coin collecting, value isn't determined by mintage numbers alone. Condition, rarity in high grades, and unique errors can dramatically increase a coin's worth. The 1997 D Lincoln penny was struck in a composition that had already changed from the original early 1900s pennies. Instead of being made primarily of copper, by 1997 the penny consisted of a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper. This composition change happened in 1982 due to rising copper prices. As a result, the 1997 D penny weighs about 2.5 grams. While this is standard for its time, collectors always double-check weight when evaluating coins, because off-metal errors or wrong planchet strikes can significantly raise value. Most 1997 D pennies you find in circulation today are worth face value. If you pull one from your pocket, it will typically be worth 1 cent. Even in uncirculated condition, many examples trade for only a small premium, perhaps a few cents to a few dollars depending on quality. So why are collectors paying so much attention to this coin? The answer lies in condition, rarity, and grading. In coin collecting, grading plays a massive role in determining value. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state 70. A mint state coin means it has never been circulated and retains its original luster. The difference between a mint state 63 and a mint state 68 coin can be dramatic in terms of price. The 1997 VDB Lincoln penny is relatively easy to find in lower mint state grades, but in ultra-high grades with flawless surfaces, sharp strikes, and brilliant luster, it becomes far more elusive. Collectors look for examples with full red color. When pennies are freshly struck, they have a bright red appearance due to the copper coating. Over time, exposure to air and handling can turn them brown. Coins that maintain their original red color are often labeled as red by grading services. A 1997 VDB penny in average circulated condition might be worth 1 cent. In uncirculated red condition, it could be worth a modest premium. But in exceptionally high grades, especially those certified by professional grading companies, the value can increase dramatically. Another factor that can drive up the value of a 1997 VDB penny is the presence of mint errors. Error coins are highly collectible because they are accidental and therefore rare. Examples include double die errors, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and coins struck on the wrong metal. If a 1997 VDB penny exhibits a dramatic and authenticated mint error, collectors may compete fiercely to add it to their collections. The more visually striking and rare the error, the higher the potential value. When examining a 1997 VDB penny, collectors carefully inspect the mint mark. They check for doubling, repunching, or unusual positioning. While major double die varieties are not widely known for this specific year in mint, minor varieties and subtle anomalies can still attract attention. The key is authentication and condition. Even the smallest detail can make a big difference. It's also important to consider how coins are stored. Many people underestimate the impact of proper storage on value. A coin that has been kept in a protective holder, away from moisture and air, stands a much better chance of retaining its original luster and color. On the other hand, coins stored loosely in jars or exposed to environmental damage can develop spots, corrosion, or discoloration. For a modern coin like the 1997 VDB penny to achieve top-tier grading, it must be nearly perfect. That level of preservation is surprisingly rare. The coin market itself also influences value. Demand plays a critical role. When collectors focus on completing high-grade Lincoln Cent sets, they often seek the finest known examples of each date and mint mark. Registry set competitions, hosted by grading services, encourage collectors to assemble the best possible collections. In this competitive environment, even a coin that was once overlooked can skyrocket in price if it represents the finest certified example available. Imagine a collector searching for the absolute best 1997 VDB Lincoln penny to complete a top-ranking set. If only a handful of coins have been graded at the highest level, bidding wars can occur. Auctions become intense. Prices climb far beyond what most people would ever expect for a modern 1-cent coin. This is how seemingly ordinary coins can transform into headline-making treasures. Another exciting aspect of the 1997 VDB penny is the thrill of the hunt. Unlike rare coins from the 1800s that are unlikely to appear in circulation, modern coins, like this one, could still be hiding in bank rolls, coin jars, or old collections. That possibility fuels interest and keeps collectors searching. The idea that a small copper-colored coin could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars adds a layer of excitement to everyday life. If you're checking your own 1997 VDB pennies, here's what to look for. First, examine the overall condition. Is the coin bright and shiny with minimal marks? Next, check for full red color. Then, inspect the surfaces under magnification for unusual doubling or striking errors. Weigh the coin to ensure it matches the expected 2.5 grams, as deviations might indicate an error. Finally, consider professional grading if you believe your coin is exceptional. Certification not only authenticates the coin, but also provides an official grade that can significantly influence value. It's important to stay realistic. The vast majority of 1997 pennies will never be worth more than a small premium. But the rare top-tier examples prove that even modern coins can achieve astonishing prices. The coin collecting world is full of surprises, and history shows that conditioned rarity can transform common coins into remarkable investments. What makes this story truly captivating is the contrast between face value and collector value. 1 cent seems almost insignificant in today's economy. Many people leave pennies behind in change trays or toss them into jars without a second thought. Yet under the right circumstances, that same coin can command a price that changes how we view spare change forever. The 1997 Lincoln penny represents more than just metal. It represents history, craftsmanship, and the enduring fascination people have with rare and beautiful objects. It reminds us that value is not always obvious at first glance. Sometimes, the most extraordinary treasures are hiding in plain sight. So, the next time you come across a 1997 mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny, take a closer look. Examine its shine. Study its details. Consider its condition. Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a simple 2000 Lincoln 1 cent penny, a coin most people wouldn't even glance at twice. It's small. It's common. It's copper-plated zinc. And yet, hidden among millions of ordinary pennies could be a coin that collectors are willing to pay an astonishing amount of money to own. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 2000 mint mark Lincoln penny, how to identify it, what makes certain pieces so valuable, and why the seemingly ordinary coin can turn into a collector's dream. First, let's understand what no mint mark actually means. In the year 2000, Lincoln cents were struck at multiple U.S. mint facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver. Pennies produced in Philadelphia traditionally do not carry a mint mark. That means if you look at your 2000 penny and don't see a small letter under the date, it was struck in Philadelphia. This is completely normal. But here's where things start to get interesting. While millions upon millions of 2000 pennies were made, not all of them are the same in terms of quality and condition. Most circulated examples are only worth face value. They've been handled, scratched, worn down, and spent countless times. But collectors don't chase average coins. They chase perfection. They chase rarity. They chase mistakes. Condition is everything in the coin world. A 2000 mint mark Lincoln cent that has never been circulated, that still has its original luster blazing across the surface, can command serious attention. Professional grading services examine coins under magnification and assign them a grade on a scale. The higher the grade, the fewer coins exist in that pristine state. And when supply shrinks but demand stays strong, prices can skyrocket. Then there are mint errors. These are the true treasures. Errors can happen during the striking process: off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, planchet errors, or dramatic misalignments. Collectors love these because they're accidental works of art created by the minting process itself. A dramatic and clearly visible error on a 2000 mint mark penny can transform an everyday coin into something extraordinary. Another factor that drives value is population. Even though the year 2000 isn't ancient history, high-grade examples and flawless condition are surprisingly scarce. Many coins were immediately released into circulation and handled roughly. Finding one that looks like it was struck yesterday can be extremely difficult. When grading companies report very low numbers of top-grade survivors, competitive collectors step in, and bidding wars begin. Design also plays a role in its appeal. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln's iconic portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that has been part of American history since 1909. The reverse, in the year 2000, still carried the classic Lincoln Memorial design. For collectors, this represents the final years of a long-running reverse type before the major design changes that came later. That historical significance adds another layer of interest. If you're searching your own coins, here's what to look for. Check the date carefully. Confirm there is no mint mark under the year. Examine the surfaces under bright light. Look for strong, sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard. Inspect the fields for minimal marks or scratches. Rotate the coin and watch for that original mint luster shimmering across the surface. And most importantly, keep an eye out for anything unusual or dramatic that sets the coin apart from the ordinary. Many people overlook pennies because they seem too common to matter. But coin collecting has always been about the details. Tiny differences, small imperfections, exceptional preservation. Sometimes the smallest denomination can deliver the biggest surprise. So before you toss that 2,000 penny back into a jar, take a closer look. Because in the world of coin collecting, even a 1-cent piece can carry a value that shocks the imagination. But what if one of those ordinary-looking coins was actually a hidden treasure? Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating coin that has sparked curiosity among collectors and everyday people alike. The 2005 United States Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. At first glance, the 2005 Lincoln penny seems completely ordinary. It carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that has been part of American coinage since 1909. On the back, depending on the version, you'll find one of the special reverse designs released in 2005 as part of the Westward Journey series. These designs commemorated important moments in American history connected to Lincoln and the expansion of the nation. But what makes some people stop and stare at this particular coin is the absence of a mint mark. Before we go further, let's clear up one of the biggest misconceptions. A missing mint mark does not always mean a coin is rare. In fact, for many years, pennies produced at the Philadelphia Mint did not carry a mint mark at all. So when you see a 2005 penny without a small letter under the date, that typically means it was struck in Philadelphia. And in 2005, millions upon millions of pennies were made there. That means the majority of 2005 no mint mark pennies are common and worth exactly 1 cent in everyday circulation. But here's where things get interesting. While the standard 2005 no mint mark penny is common, certain rare errors, varieties, and exceptional condition coins from that year have captured serious attention in the coin collecting world. And when collectors compete for the best of the best, prices can rise dramatically. Let's talk about condition first. In coin collecting, condition is everything. A coin that has been handled, scratched, worn down, or dulled by years of circulation will usually hold only face value. But if a 2005 no mint mark penny was taken straight from a mint roll and preserved perfectly for years, it could grade extremely high on the professional coin grading scale. Coins graded mint state 67, mint state 68, or higher are considered superb gems. These coins show almost no flaws even under magnification. Collectors are willing to pay significant premiums for coins in pristine condition because they are incredibly difficult to find. Think about how easily a penny can get scratched. The moment it leaves the mint, it's tossed into bags, counted by machines, shipped in bulk, and eventually handled by countless people. Finding one in nearly flawless condition 2 decades later is not easy. Now let's move into the world of mint errors. This is where the excitement really begins. Mint errors occur during the production process. Sometimes the metal planchet is defective. Sometimes the dies that strike the coin are misaligned or cracked. Occasionally, the design is struck twice, creating what collectors call a double strike. There are off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, broad strikes, and even coins struck on the wrong metal. A 2005 Lincoln penny with a dramatic mint error can be worth far more than 1 cent. For example, a strong off-center strike that still shows a full date can bring in hundreds of dollars. A bold double die error, where the lettering or design elements appear doubled, can also command serious attention from collectors. Another important factor is whether the coin is part of the 2005 Westward Journey designs. That year featured special reverse designs celebrating the Louisiana Purchase and the exploration of the American West. Some collectors focus on completing high-grade sets of these commemorative designs. A flawless 2005 no-mint mark example from one of these special reverses could be worth far more than a typical circulating penny. Now you might be wondering, how do I know if my 2005 penny is valuable? First, check the overall condition. Hold the coin under bright light. Look for scratches, dullness, or wear on Lincoln's cheek and jawline. Examine the reverse design carefully. If the coin looks shiny, sharp, and nearly perfect, it may be worth having professionally graded. Second, inspect for errors. Use a magnifying glass or coin loupe. Look closely at the date, the word Liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust." Check the edges of the coin for unusual shapes or missing pieces. Study the reverse for doubling or design misalignment. If something looks unusual or dramatic, it might be an error worth investigating. Third, consider professional grading services. Companies like PCGS and NGC authenticate and grade coins on a standardized scale. A certified high-grade 2005 no-mint mark penny in a protective holder can command far more trust and higher prices than a raw coin sold online without verification. Now let's talk about demand. Coin value is not just about rarity. It's also about how many people want the coin. The Lincoln Cent is one of the most widely collected coins in the United States. Millions of collectors build sets by date and mint mark. Some specialize in high-grade modern coins. Others hunt for errors and varieties. Because of this large collector base, even modern pennies can achieve surprising values when they meet the right criteria. It's also important to mention that the 2005 penny is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. This composition has been used since 1982. These coins are not made of solid copper like older Lincoln cents, so the metal content itself does not give the coin intrinsic value. The value comes from rarity, condition, and collector interest. You may have seen dramatic headlines online claiming that a 2005 no-mint mark penny is worth thousands of dollars. While such claims can sometimes be exaggerated, there have been documented cases where rare examples, especially those with significant mint errors or exceptional grading, have sold for impressive amounts. One of the biggest drivers of high prices is auction competition. When two or more collectors desperately want the same rare coin, bidding can escalate quickly. A coin that might normally sell for a few $100s can skyrocket if it represents one of the finest known examples. And that brings us to the power of certification and population reports. Professional grading companies keep track of how many coins they have graded at each level. If only a handful of 2005 no-mint mark pennies exist in a top-tier grade, collectors may be willing to pay a premium to own one of the finest examples known. It's also worth noting that coin values fluctuate over time. The market changes based on collector trends, economic conditions, and overall demand. A coin that sells for a high amount one year might sell for less the next, or even more if interest increases. So what should you do if you find a 2005 no-mint mark Lincoln penny? Do not clean it. Cleaning a coin can drastically reduce its value. Even gentle polishing can create tiny scratches that lower the grade. Leave the coin exactly as you found it. Store it safely in a coin holder or protective flip. Avoid touching the surfaces directly. Hold it by the edges if you must handle it. Research similar examples that have sold recently. Look at completed auction listings rather than asking prices. Asking prices can be unrealistic, but completed sales show what buyers are actually willing to pay. If you truly believe you have an exceptional example or a dramatic error coin, consider submitting it to a professional grading service. The cost may be worth it if the coin turns out to be rare and high grade. What makes coin collecting so exciting is that treasure can be hiding in plain sight. A penny most people ignore could potentially be worth far more than its face value under the right circumstances. It's a reminder that history, craftsmanship, and even small manufacturing mistakes can transform something ordinary into something extraordinary. The 2005 United States Lincoln Cent penny with no mint mark may seem simple, but for collectors, it represents a piece of American history. It carries the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, the story of westward expansion, and the intricate process of modern coin production. And in rare cases, when condition and uniqueness align perfectly, it can become far more than just pocket change. Have you ever looked at the loose change in your pocket and wondered if one tiny coin could completely change your life? Most of us treat pennies like they're almost worthless. They fall between couch cushions, disappear into car cup holders, and pile up in jars on kitchen counters. But what if I told you that one modern penny, a 2018 D-Mint Mark Lincoln Cent coin, has captured the attention of collectors and sparked conversations about serious money? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 2018 D Lincoln penny. We'll explore its background, its design, why mint marks matter, what makes certain examples valuable, and how an everyday coin could turn into something extraordinary. Stay with me, because at the end of this video, you're going to look at your pennies very differently. Let's begin with the basics. The Lincoln Cent has been a part of American history since 1909. It was introduced to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it became the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Over a century later, Lincoln is still there on the front, facing right, calm and dignified. The 2018 Lincoln Cent continues that legacy. On the obverse, you'll see Abraham Lincoln's portrait designed by Victor David Brenner. Above his head is the word Liberty. To the right is the year 2018. And just below the date, you'll notice a small but very important letter, D. That tiny D stands for Denver, meaning this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the Union Shield reverse design. Introduced in 2010, the shield represents Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single, united country. Across the top is the motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. The words United States of America and 1 cent surround the shield. It's a modern design with a powerful historical message. Now here's where things get interesting. The Denver Mint produces billions of pennies each year. In 2018, the mintage for the D-Mint Mark Lincoln Cent was extremely high. That means, in general, this coin is very common. If you check your pocket change right now, you might already have one. In circulated condition, most 2018 D pennies are worth exactly 1 cent. Nothing more. So why are we even talking about it? Because in the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. And sometimes, tiny minting errors or ultra-high-grade examples can transform an ordinary coin into something collectors compete fiercely to own. Let's talk about grading. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS-70 is considered perfect under magnification. No visible flaws. No scratches. No marks. Even under close inspection, it appears flawless. Achieving that level is incredibly rare, especially for modern coins that are produced in massive quantities and handled in bulk. Most 2018 D pennies were struck for circulation. They were dumped into bags, shipped to banks, and handled countless times before reaching the public. That means nicks, dings, and small imperfections are extremely common. Finding one in pristine, untouched condition is much harder than you might think. When collectors submit coins to professional grading services, those services examine every detail under magnification. They look at the sharpness of the strike, the brightness of the luster, the absence of contact marks, and the overall appeal. Only the absolute best examples receive the highest grades. And when a coin is both modern and graded at the very top of the scale, demand can skyrocket. But grading alone isn't the only factor. Sometimes, coins leave the mint with errors. These errors can include off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, or other unusual minting anomalies. While most coins are struck perfectly, the minting process involves enormous pressure and high-speed machinery. Mistakes do happen. If a 2018 VDB Lincoln Cent displays a dramatic and clearly visible error, collectors may be willing to pay significant premiums. The rarer and more visually striking the error, the more desirable the coin becomes. For example, a strong double die error would show noticeable doubling in the lettering or design elements. A broad strike error might appear larger and flatter than normal. A coin struck on the wrong planchet could have the wrong color or weight. These types of errors transform a common penny into a collectible curiosity. Now imagine combining an extremely high grade with a rare and dramatic mint error. That's when the excitement truly builds. Another factor to consider is population reports. Professional grading companies keep detailed records of how many coins they have graded at each level. If only one or two examples of a specific coin exist at the highest grade, collectors call that a low population coin. Low population coins often command strong prices because serious collectors want the very best. The 2018 VDB Lincoln Cent is a modern coin, but modern coins can still become rare in top condition. Sometimes, only a handful achieve a near-perfect grade due to tiny flaws that most people would never even notice without magnification. Let's also talk about copper-plated zinc composition. Since 1982, most Lincoln Cents have been made primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating. This makes them more susceptible to small surface issues. Even minor handling can cause tiny spots or marks. That means truly pristine examples are harder to find than you might assume. How do collectors search for valuable 2018 VDB pennies? Some roll hunt. They buy rolls of pennies from banks and carefully inspect each coin. Others purchase mint sets, hoping to find coins that were better preserved from the start. Some search through pocket change, looking for exceptional luster and sharp details. The key signs to look for include strong, even strike details in Lincoln's hair and beard, clean fields without noticeable marks, and bright original luster that shines when the coin is tilted under light. Any unusual doubling, misalignment, or striking irregularities should also be carefully examined. It's important to understand that not every shiny penny is valuable. Many coins look nice at first glance, but reveal small imperfections under magnification. That's why professional grading plays such a crucial role in determining value. Collectors are willing to pay premiums for certified coins because certification provides trust. It guarantees authenticity and confirms the assigned grade. In a competitive market, that assurance matters. The story of the 2018 VDB Lincoln Cent reminds us of something powerful. Even in an era of digital payments and electronic transactions, physical coins still carry history, craftsmanship, and the possibility of hidden treasure. Every coin tells a story. It passes through countless hands. It travels across cities and states. It becomes part of daily life. And sometimes, by chance or by careful searching, one coin stands out from the rest. The idea that a modern penny could be worth serious money captures people's imagination. It proves that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes, the smallest things hold the biggest surprises. Before you dismiss the pennies in your pocket, take a closer look. Check the date. Look for that small D mint mark beneath the year. Examine the surfaces carefully. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Compare what you see to images of high-grade examples online. Coin collecting isn't just about money. It's about history, patience, attention to detail, and the thrill of discovery. It's about noticing what others overlook. And in the case of the 2018 VDB Lincoln Cent, it's about understanding how condition and rarity intersect in fascinating ways. Imagine the excitement of discovering an exceptional example. Imagine submitting it for grading and receiving a top-tier score. Imagine the buzz among collectors if it turns out to be one of the finest known specimens. While most 2018 VDB pennies will always remain worth a single cent, the rarest and finest examples can command astonishing prices in the collector market. That's the magic of numismatics. Ordinary objects become extraordinary through rarity, preservation, and demand. So next time you receive change at a store, don't just toss the pennies aside. Take a moment. Look closely. Because hidden among billions of coins could be one special piece that collectors dream about. But what if I told you that one small, ordinary-looking penny from 2020 could spark huge excitement among collectors? What if that simple copper-colored coin in your change jar could be far more interesting than you ever imagined? Today, we're diving deep into the story, value, and surprising potential of the United States of America 2020 VDB Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. The Lincoln penny is one of the most iconic coins in American history. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Since then, the Lincoln Cent has gone through several design changes on the reverse side, but Lincoln's portrait has remained a constant symbol of American heritage. Now let's fast forward to the year 2020, a year that will always be remembered in history for many reasons. But in the world of coin collecting, 2020 also holds a special place. The 2020 Lincoln Cent continues the modern, Union Shield, reverse design, which was introduced in 2010. This shield represents Lincoln's preservation of the United States as one united country. The 13 vertical stripes symbolize the original 13 colonies, and the banner across the shield carries the motto E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. The 2020 VDB Mint Mark penny was struck at the Denver Mint. The small letter D located just below the date indicates that the coin was produced in Denver, Colorado. The Denver Mint has been producing coins for circulation since 1906, and today it is one of the largest coin-producing facilities in the world. At first glance, the 2020 VDB Lincoln Cent looks completely ordinary. It has Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the front, the words "In God We Trust" above his head, Liberty to the left, and the date 2020 with the VDB Mint mark to the right. On the reverse, the Union Shield design stands bold and strong. The coin is composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, weighing about 2.5 grams and measuring 19.05 millimeters in diameter. So, why would anyone be interested in a coin that was produced in the millions? After all, billions of pennies are minted every year. The answer lies in condition, rarity within condition grades, and most importantly, errors. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is everything. A penny that has circulated through countless transactions, scratched and worn down, will usually only be worth its face value. But a coin that has never entered circulation, one that remains in pristine, uncirculated condition, can command a premium among collectors. In the grading world, coins are evaluated on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS-70, which stands for Mint State 70, is considered absolutely perfect under magnification. No visible flaws, no scratches, no marks. For modern coins, like the 2020 VDB penny, achieving a perfect MS-70 grade is extremely difficult. Even though these coins are newly minted, They can acquire tiny imperfections during the minting and packaging process. A 2020 Lincoln Cent in average circulated condition is typically worth just 1 cent. Even in basic uncirculated rolls, they may only sell for a small premium over face value. But when you start looking at high-grade examples, especially those certified by professional grading services, the value begins to climb. Collectors are always searching for the finest known examples. Registry set collectors compete to own the highest graded coins for each year and mint mark. If a 2020 penny receives an exceptionally high grade, and there are very few others graded at that level, demand can push the price upward. But there's another factor that truly excites collectors: mint errors. Errors are mistakes that occur during the minting process. These can include off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other striking abnormalities. Error coins are unique because no two are exactly alike. The more dramatic and visually obvious the error, the more desirable the coin can become. For the 2020 Lincoln Cent, collectors have reported examples of double dies, die chips, and even off-center strikes. A dramatic double die error, where the design appears duplicated due to a misalignment during die creation, can significantly increase a coin's value. Strong doubling visible in the date, lettering, or Lincoln's features can turn an ordinary penny into a highly sought-after collectible. Off-center strikes are another fascinating category. If a coin is struck slightly off its center, part of the design may be missing, leaving a blank crescent-shaped area. The percentage of off-center strike plays a big role in value. A 10% off-center coin might carry a modest premium, while a 50% off-center coin with the date still visible could be worth much more. Die cracks and cuts also attract attention. A cut forms when a piece of the die breaks off, leaving a raised blob of metal on the finished coin. Some collectors specialize specifically in these varieties, carefully examining rolls of pennies searching for unusual raised shapes or lines. Now let's talk about grading and authentication. If you believe you've found a high-grade or error 2020 Lincoln Cent, the next step would be professional grading. Companies like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins for authenticity and assign an official grade. Once encapsulated in a protective holder, the coin becomes more attractive to serious buyers. Market demand plays a major role in determining value. Even a modern coin can achieve surprising auction results if it meets certain criteria: exceptional grade, rarity in that grade, strong eye appeal, and active collector interest. Sometimes it only takes two determined bidders at an auction to drive the final price far beyond expectations. It's also important to understand that not every shiny 2020 penny is valuable. Many people assume that because a coin is new, it must be rare. In reality, millions upon millions were produced. The key difference lies in quality and uniqueness. Coin roll hunting has become a popular hobby in recent years. Collectors visit banks, obtain rolls of pennies, and carefully search through them looking for errors or high-grade examples. The thrill of discovery keeps the hobby alive. Imagine opening a simple paper roll of coins and finding a flawless specimen or a dramatic mint error hidden inside. The 2020 Lincoln Cent also represents a snapshot in time. Coins often become more interesting as the years pass. Future collectors may look back at 2020 as a historically significant year and develop a stronger interest in coins minted during that period. For investors, modern coins can be a bit more unpredictable than classic rarities. While a rare 1909 VDB penny has established long-term value, modern coins depend heavily on condition, rarity, and current collector trends. However, when the right combination of grade and scarcity aligns, even a recent coin can reach astonishing numbers. There have been remarkable cases where modern pennies, graded at the very top of the scale and representing the finest known examples, have achieved prices that surprise even seasoned collectors. These instances are rare, but they remind us that numismatics is full of unexpected possibilities. If you have a 2020 Lincoln penny, Take a closer look at it. Examine it under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair and beard. Check the lettering for doubling. Inspect the edges for any unusual shapes. You might just spot something special. Remember, condition, rarity within grade, and error types are the main drivers of value. A common circulated coin will remain worth face value, but a pristine, top population, professionally graded coin or a dramatic mint error could be worth significantly more to the right collector. And in extraordinary circumstances, when a nearly flawless specimen meets intense collector demand, the value can climb to levels most people would never expect from a simple penny. In fact, under the rarest and most exceptional conditions, a 2020 D-Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny has been known to reach an astonishing value of $49,243.